Do you think their recruiting might level up a little bit based on this new house settlement that just came out? I think there's a chance that that helps FSU.
Uh, I hope it does because we need it. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
we need something to turn this recruiting thing around because there's some kind of disconnect from when they get guys in to when it's time to seal the deal.
Right.
Because so it's like you do enough to get the guys in, get them interested, but what is it that you're not doing? These other schools are doing to get them to close. I don't think that's always about NIL or always about money. There's something else has to be off too. I don't know what it is, obviously, because I'm not in the building. I don't know these players, but
Right.
just to see them be so high on a lot of these blue chip guys list, but they're never the ones to close. That's the frustrating part. So I want to be overly excited, but I have to, bring it back down a little bit because of how they recruited it.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, so he was over the linebackers, and they also, I don't know if you saw, Carson Baker and Jay Lamar, the two four-star running backs. They were also for visits this weekend too, and they actually spent a lot of time together, taking pictures together, and both talked about how Florida State was great. They, you know, they really improved their standing in their recruiting, and that's like I say, it's good to hear. It's just with Florida State recruiting now, it's I don't know you feel that way, but it's almost like the better the guy is, the more I think they're not going to get him. So,
Yeah.
it's like no, I wish I had that feeling recruiting wise that we had back when Jimbo was here.
Right.
Because when Jimbo recruited, you knew the classes were always going to be stellar. You're going to
Yeah.
be somewhere in that top 5, top 10 range. You were going to be able to be in these recruiting wars with the Georgias and the Alabamas, and we actually won a good bit of those
Yeah.
back when we were dealing with Jimbo. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
now it's like you see that Bama and them Georgia logos, you get kind of, it's good to be in the mix. And that's why I say, like, what is it that's getting them there, but they can't get across the finish line? I don't think it's all NIL. I don't think it's all that. It's some kind of something that they got to figure out there. So, and I hope they do. So, it was, like I said, good to see them have those really high profile guys talk good about them. But it's just, if we had better classes the last few years, I feel better about it. It's just,
Right.
I just hope that they get to where they get over this hump and they can start closing and keeping, uh, some of these recruiters to get because they get really good guys, but a lot of them leave. And speaking of that, later, earlier today, Jalen Scott, the four-star DB who committed for the 27 class, he flipped to Auburn. So it's just, I mean, I'm always weary when guys commit a couple years early. Like
Right.
if he was a 26 commit, yeah, I feel a little bit different about it.
Right.
But when you got guys committing in 27 and not in 25, not coming to 27, then you have to kind of, you know, because I mean we know what the recruiting game is now. It literally until your name hits that on the dotted line, like the recruiting game doesn't stop. These kids still go on visits, they still take trips, they still take other officials. I think that's what a lot of people don't like about it now.
Right.
Because they feel like once you commit, like if you're committed, then it'd be kind of like like are you in an open relationship? Like yeah, you got a girl, but you date other people type stuff. But you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
yeah, so
But the key is if you get enough elite guys, like you get a foundation of really good players that's committed. Most times, the good players want to play with the other good players.
hmm
That's really the key. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? When you just got one kid that's really good, and he in the class by himself, and he think the rest of them ain't that good, he be like,
right,
do I really want to be here? You know what I'm saying? It's just,
exactly, exactly,
you know,
exactly. Yeah, I mean, because trust me, I mean, I know it's not the end all be all because
right,
you gotta get a good perform, but trust me, these kids look at ratings. These kids look at these classes and they go, oh, they got 20 recruits, but 12 of them are 3 stars.
Yeah, and I
And
don't
then they
think
got
they that. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
compete. I don't think they're that
yeah,
good.
I compete against them. Yeah, and old boy guarded me a couple years ago, and I put him in the blender. So
Yeah,
like stuff like that matters. I think people don't talk about that aspect enough. These kids follow each other. They played against each other, especially in the state of Florida.
yeah,
I mean, those kids they known each other since they were little. They've been competing against each other forever. So and a lot of them went to school together before they went to different high schools and stuff like that. So
right.
it's they man, it's so frustrating because I mean you've been a Florida State fan long enough. For a while, we didn't worry about things like recruiting at Florida
Yeah, it was
State.
all
Like
about developing. It was all about
yeah,
developing
exactly. It was the
players that
developing
we
part.
get. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So like now when you got to the point where you're still having somewhat of a development issue, and now on top of that, you're not getting some of these guys.
right.
That's what makes it hard because I mean you see this revamping of the coaching staff, which was needed. But at the same time, when that happens, is that also you have to start stuff back over because
Yeah,
now
that's
you know
interesting though, because normally when you get a new coaching staff, you think you're gonna get like a recruiting bump, right? Because you got all
mhm,
these new coaches, they got new connections. But I think you are seeing a recruiting bump with the offensive lineman. I think
yes,
Dan is doing a good job
Dan's
um,
killing.
pulling kids in. I mean, I don't think he got a lot of commits yet, but he's in the fight with some pretty big time linemen and whatnot. So
Mhm.
it's not all bad across the board, to be honest with you.
No,
You know, just the skill positions right now is just kind of you know what I'm saying? Just and the D line is kind of but
yeah, it's like you look at the skill position, you'll see like one or two guys, like, yeah, he is or could be that. But then everybody else is like, you're kind of on like that hopium, like, well, he got some traits. I hope he can do that. I hope he can do that. See, you need dudes at skill positions, especially if you're gonna play at Florida State.
you do
So
need dudes. You need dudes, and
yeah,
it's,
you need
it's
dudes.
gonna be kind of funny, man, because I was thinking about this when they announced I think last year what we had 18 was it 8 teams last year in the playoffs or 12? Was it 8?
12.
12. I'm sorry. I don't really be caring until they get to the final four. But
Yeah, pretty much.
but I was thinking about this though. If you got a 12 team playoff, like and you FSU, you Miami, you Clemson, you kind of expect to be in that every year or every other year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you shouldn't be missing the playoffs. No, 2 years in a row, 3 years in a row. Like that shouldn't happen. You should be able to make the playoffs every other year. Now they're going to 16. Yeah, you need to be making the playoffs every other year. You know what I'm saying? So, and with that, I think I wonder do we get less coach movement because of that, right? Because if you got the top 16 programs constantly making the playoff, you know, let's say you got 25 programs, you got 16 coaches rotating in. Well, you got 14 to 12. Let's say you got 10 coaches rotating, but their teams rotating in and out of playoffs every other year. I mean, to me, can you really be firing people like that anymore? If they make it the playoffs?
Yeah.
I mean, unless
Yeah.
you're like Bama, Ohio State, and you go to the playoffs and you lose in the first round 3 years in a row.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if you're Florida State, you Miami, you make it the playoffs every other year. I mean, I don't think you should be firing a coach that's making the playoffs every other year. My opinion,
I don't need. No.
So maybe with less coach movement, maybe we get a little less player movement also.
Yeah.
I don't
Good
know.
point.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.